Hello, I'm Ian Minjire. I play for Impala Saracens, and this is 3 Quarters Podcast. Thank you for watching. Cheers.
Episode 39, part 2 of Kenya's premier sports video podcast, the 3 Quarters Podcast. Join us in supporting the Kenya Simbas as they are still looking to qualify for the Rugby World Cup in 2019 by jumping onto the hashtag Road to Japan. I'm Jemima Duffield.
This is Nyash, your official noisemaker.
Jeringus, Kenyana.
So, Badman of the Week. Who is your Badman? That's from the Caberberry Sevens tournament.
Not Mwamba.
That's not a man. That is not a man. Yo.
But there are a couple of guys to look forward to. I think Alex Olaba had a good tournament. I think Philip Wokorach had a good tournament. He really entertained us. There's one person who entertained me, though it wasn't. I mean, in the way he controlled the game. Evans Musili, probably known as Toi. I liked the way he played on that day. But for me, my bad man of the tournament of the week was Ian Minjire. Reason being the consistency. From Driftwood Sevens to this tournament, he was able to make the team of the tournament. And the most important thing I think about Ian Minjire is how technically sound he is in the game. There were a couple of plays he was making. The restarts, I think he was reclaiming all their restarts. He never lost a line out. When he was going down, tackle, continuity, because Sevens is very big on continuity of play. He did that very well. And the way he read his try in the final, the way he read the play and was able to intercept and run. So for me, that's why I pick Ian Minjire as my bad man of the week.
Yeah. All right, what about you?
I'll have to agree with Nash, with Ian Minjire. As you mentioned, the likes of Philip Wokorach, they had a good tournament. I'd also add on Harold Advate, the skipper of Menengai Oilers. He ended up being the top try scorer, I think. The guy had a very good tournament, entertaining the steps and the good steps and the rocks. Yeah, I think I'd give him a shout. But all in all, Ian Minjire and his defense.
Yes.
His defense, especially day one, I think I mentioned to you that it's like Impala have left Ian Minjire to play alone. Because the guy was tackling up again, tackling the next guy again. He was left alone. But I think he's having a good tournament. And we'll watch out for him again.
Hopefully he'll make the team again, yeah?
In fact, there was a phase where we're talking about, he made like 3 quick tackles off the rack, and you're like, goodness, is he the only person who's playing or what?
Where are the rest of the guys?
Work rate. So now we go on to Rugby 101, where we tell you all things about rugby, whether it's the lingo, whether it's the rules, and Nash, take it away.
So we're still on the new rules that have been passed by the World Rugby Executive Committee. Of course, these rules have already been implemented during the Women's Rugby World Cup early on in Ireland, and we are seeing them being slowly implemented in the men's game. The World Rugby's plan, is to have the rules full in play by the autumn tests that are going to be happening later on in the year. So we're dealing with our last rule, which is going to be the ruck. And basically, a ruck is what we keep on. You normally hear guys talking about the breakdown. So the ruck is the most integral part of the breakdown situation. So a ruck commences when at least one player is on their feet and over the ball, which is on the ground, of course. At this point, the offside line is created. That's something that one has to note. At this point also, you are allowed to pick up the ball, but it has to be immediate, right? As soon as the opposition player arrives, no hands can be used. So when the opposition player arrives to the ruck, no hands can be used. Of course, we had talked earlier on about using your feet in the ruck. Earlier on, you could just disrupt play and kick the ball to go into open play, but now you can only hook it towards your place. The World Rugby's reasoning or rationale for this was to make the ruck simpler for players and referees, because the ruck is a very complicated.
It can be very messy.
aspect in rugby. So the sanction, of course, for any infringement in a ruck situation is a full penalty on the naughty boys in the ruck. That's our Rugby 101.
All right. Okay, thanks for that. I hope that you've been paying attention. You guys who don't know your rules. All right, so now we've had 2 tournaments. We had the Driftwood Sevens and we've had the Caberberry Sevens. let's talk about what we've seen from the two and what the standings are.
The standings are, I think I can go through the top 5 maybe. We have Oilers leading, Homeboys are coming in second, Resolution, Impala, Saracens are coming in third after winning Kababeri. Cabras Sugar, RFC is on number 4. Then we have Nakuru at 5th. Bottom we have Western Bulls.
I'm sorry, that just came out. Bottom?
Yeah, the bottom 4, let me just do 4. Western Bulls, then we have Makueni, the KCA, and then lastly Mombasa.
All right. So good luck to the guys at the bottom. And if you're at the top, may you stay there. So
I don't know where Mumbai is, but anyway.
I think there's somewhere 10.
Let's work on Queens first. then
Then you can see what's up. It's easy, no problem.
All right. So Kiara, you seek to increase the seating capacity at the union, which obviously they had to do before the Safari Sevens. What do you think? Is obviously we know the reason behind that, but what are your thoughts?
It should have happened a long time ago. I don't know why it needed Safari Sevens for the union to realize that space needed to be increased at RFUEA grounds. During the international tests, we saw an influx of guys that we have never seen before in 15 games, and therefore there was a big problem in terms of sitting. When you have a mess like that, you discourage very many people from attending these games. And that's what's happening, because many guys are like, look, I'm going to be having a problem getting sitting space, so there's no point for me coming. I actually just come for the disco later on, So I think the union should have done it earlier on. My plea is that if they've decided that this is the direction they're going to take, any work that's going to be done on that stadium, on those grounds, needs to happen by the time Christie Sevens is happening. Because it's going to be crunch time, and after Christie's is Dala, a week break, and Safari Sevens is already here. We cannot be having a poor show for Safari Sevens. So that's my thinking about that.
Maybe you can add on that. I'll agree with you that it was a long time coming. I wonder what took so long. Considering the last venues that we've had for Sevens in our stadium, we had like over 20,000 fans coming in. Kasarani, apart from the distance and how far it went, how far the place is, the numbers dwindled and became more of even Kababeri was better.
2 years. in the last 2 years, that's when Kababeri was better.
In the last 2 years. So, but 3,000 capacity, I don't think it's enough. 3,000 is not enough. I think they should have done more. And I hope what they do is permanent. It's not something temporary. Just for the Sevens, and then someone comes and collects his equipment at the sitting space. So I can only hope that it's permanent, and the union doesn't have his monkey business of not paying the contractors. And
money first, or half at least.
I can only hope that it's permanent, and they increase the capacity more than even 3,000. 3,000 is kidogo.
So on to international rugby, DJ Forbes retires from rugby after a long run. What do you say about this?
He's been the stalwart of New Zealand Sevens rugby. Him alongside Gordon Tigins, of course. Gordon Tigins left 2 seasons ago. And the good thing about DJ Forbes is that he never really tried to get into the 15s game. He was all about Sevens, and he made his career on Sevens. The few times he went to play for the Manawatu Tabos, actually where William Baker plays. So he used to go play during the ITM Cup. That's where he used to play when he was playing 50s rugby. But most of the times he was Sevens. He was all about Sevens rugby, captained New Zealand for a very long time, actually throughout their successive spell. So I think, you can only say it's time to rest, and kudos to DJ Forbes and an outstanding career.
And the last career for DJ Forbes got him 2 Commonwealth Games, Rugby Sevens World Cup, of course, and a lot of series wins. Sad that he couldn't get into the 15s. I think this is the pool of players that New Zealand have. It's not that he tried. I'm sure he must have tried, but it's too hard. But I'll agree with you. It's about time he hung his boots. He's entertained us quite well.
All right. What do you think about him going into coaches? We've seen, especially in Kenya, a lot of players, finish their playing career and now want to be coaches. What do you think about that?
The difference between Kenya and New Zealand is first, like the pool. That's why very many players will finish playing in Kenya and head into coaching. DJ Forbes going into coaching, the jury is out on that. We'll just have to wait and see how he performs when he goes into coaching. But what you know is that he's going to come with immense knowledge in the game, and especially in the game of sevens. I would actually like to see him get into sevens and not get involved in 15s.
Okay, so now, because you played, you stopped playing, are we going to see a coach?
It's part of the plan.
He coaches guys at Queen's Bar.
I'm the bar coach.
Bar coach, yeah. Anyway.
All right, so Caberberry Sevens was not the only rugby over the tournament, over the weekend rather. We also had the Rugby Championship. We had New Zealand play against Argentina, where New Zealand won 39-22. Then we had Australia play against South Africa, and they ended in a 23-all draw. So yes. Any shockers?
No, actually, New Zealand, Argentina. Despite the fact that New Zealand won by 17 points, it was actually Argentina made them grind for that win. I have always said, and this debate normally comes up when people talk about how Boden Barrett is a talent. I have always said my problem with Barrett is that this guy's goal kicking is just crap. We saw that come into play this weekend. And that's what I've always said in this debate between Dan Carter and Boden Barrett. Carter used to convert points when you needed it to happen. Had Barrett done that over the weekend, then they would not be sick under pressure, for lack of a better word, versus Argentina. Hands out to Fafita. He had an excellent game, and he was largely the reason why New Zealand won. Australia, South Africa, kudos to South Africa. Grinding out that win in Perth this past weekend was draw. It's a win. It's a win for Australia, for South Africa. Kudos to them. They played ball on the day, and now the problem is for Australia. However, this weekend is the game, New Zealand versus South Africa. So you have to wait and see how that goes.
Anything that stood out for you?
Argentina, these guys came out and played some nice ball. I think Sanchez had a very good game compared to Boden.
Yes.
So yeah, but the shocking bit that the All Blacks won by 17 points, as Nash said, that was a bit shocking. I had predicted about 30 point difference between 17, and at one point the Argentina led early in the game. So yeah, it's no shocker for me. But the big one is this coming weekend: New Zealand, South Africa. Ox.
We have to mention the Argentina winger who was knocking 52-meter penalties, Boffelli or something like that. Yeah. So it was. It's good to see Francois Stein guys coming into the game and knocking those long penalties.
And you saw his drop goal attempt, Sanchez's.
Yes.
It's a good kicking game. I think it's because they are good in football too. So
could be a valid point.
All right, so that's it for part 2. Remember, you can follow us on social media. That is by following us on Instagram, liking our page on Facebook, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. I'm Domino Dapio.
This is Nash, your official noisemaker.
Jiringus Kenyana.
Keep it here for part 3.
This is Minjire. I play for Imperial Science and I'm about to do a drop.